hate walked onto this property where people were having, as my bishop likes to say, a late night fellowship. But hate walked onto this property and went to work. What I will remember most, though, are the patrons who, in spite of their own horror and danger, risked their own lives to shield others, to help others, and to move to a place of safety. What I will remember most are the first responders, the medical and emergency personnel whose training and courage was tested that night and who rose to the occasion through unbelievable circumstances. What I will remember most are doctors' pair of shoes that continue to tell the story and speak for the victims. What I will remember most are the families and friends who have a void in their hearts that cannot be filled. And I will never forget the 49 victims whose lives were lost way too soon, and their full potential will never be realized. We shall never know what could have been. But I could not be prouder of the place that I call home, the place where I am honored to serve. Because we are Orlando strong, where hatred is not welcome and will never win. Thank you.
Friends and neighbors, what a terrorist does is try to divide us by inflicting his terror to terrorize us. Isn't it interesting that it had the opposite effect? It brought us together in unity and love. I can't say enough about the people who responded, and they're represented here today. I can't say enough about the SWAT team that went in, or the trauma surgeons just down the street. And that pair of shoes, in fact, did become a symbol. We can't say enough about how this city came together, how you here in this city united the country, and how out of such tragedy for the 49 and the ones who lived and their families, how the strength has come out of that tragic massacre. That's why we are Orlando strong.
Good afternoon. That night, we lost 49 angels, 49 individuals of our LGBTQ community, of our Hispanic community, of our African American community, of our Orlando community. And when we saw so many of our law enforcement come in to save the day for so many other victims who could have lost their lives, when we saw our EMTs and firefighters help stabilize so many folks who were on the brink, and when we saw our medical professionals come in to help so many so that they could be alive and well. The next day, the outpouring of love was throughout our community, whether it be those of us who went to the blood bank, those of us who contributed food or money online to help out so many of our families. But we still have so much to do. There are still so many families mourning their losses. There are still so many victims who are rehabilitating and are recovering There are still so many policy issues that we have to address to make our communities safer. And so we will always remember. We will always be one Orlando. And I wish you all love and happiness and kindness on this day where we remember the victims.
Thank you, Congresswoman Murphy, Congresswoman Demings, Congresswoman Soto, Senator Nelson, everyone for speaking here today. Nancy.
The next person that we're going to bring up to the stage probably doesn't really need an introduction. He was one of the first faces that we saw here at Pulse that horrible morning when we started to come to grips with what exactly happened here and the scope of this tragedy. He was who I was listening to when I found out how many people we lost here that day. And he has been a source of comfort for our community ever since. Please welcome to the stage our mayor, Buddy Dyer.
Come on up.
So a year ago today, we stood near this Pulse nightclub with a wall of TV cameras in front of us from all over the country. And in that moment, I had to do the hardest thing that I've ever done in my professional life. And in my role as mayor, it's my job to tell the residents of this city and the entire world that 49 people had been taken from us inside the Pulse nightclub. I had to tell everyone that Orlando was now the site of the worst mass shooting in modern American history. I had to tell everyone that our LGBTQ and Hispanic communities and other communities of color were the target of a deranged killer carrying out an act of unimaginable hate and terror. This morning, we return to Pulse. Our community returns to Pulse. The world's attention, at least for a moment, returns to Pulse. But we are not here to relive the horror of that day. We are not here to relive the horror of that day. We're here for a far greater purpose. We are here to remember the innocent lives that were lost. We're here to honor them, along with their families and their loved ones. And we're here to salute the survivors. Some of them are here with us, and some are not ready to return to Pulse. And to each of you, the survivors, as hard as we try, we can't begin to know or understand the depth of darkness that you've experienced over the past 12 months. We can't begin to know or understand your pain. We can't begin to know or understand the burden that you carry around as you've cried, you've prayed, you've mourned. But we can say thank you for your grace, for your courage, for your determination, and for your love. We continue to stand in awe of you, the survivors and the families, as you lead by example and show the world the power of love in the face of hate. We stand with you, and we can recommit to you the promise that we made a year ago, that we are with you, that Orlando has your back no matter what. We're also here today to recognize and honor the first responders, the medical professionals, the volunteers, and the other countless heroes who swung into action that early morning on June the 12th. After 12 months of healing, I find comfort in the fact that the most enduring images are not of chaos, but of bravery and of courage, compassion, and kindness. Our police officers and firefighters carrying victims out of this club onto Orange Avenue. An officer's pickup truck being used as a makeshift ambulance over and over and over, back and forth to Orlando Regional. The shoes that were mentioned of an ER doc that he wore and his colleagues fought to save the lives of victim after victim. The city employees and volunteers who worked at the Family Assistance Center. Food and supplies pouring in from every corner of this community. Lines that stretched and stretched as volunteers gave blood. The list of acts of courage and kindness go on and on. And finally, we are here this morning to thank the greater Orlando community. The survivors and their families and the families of the victims still bear scars, seen and unseen, and will do so. But so do those who witnessed the horror firsthand. The impacts of this tragedy extend even further. So many people watched the events unfold on TV. They heard accounts from their friends. So many people cried for victims that they had never met. They sent money to help people that they never knew. And all of us as a community bear the marks of June the 12th. In the face of what happened at Pulse, it would have been so easy to turn to anger and to hatred